welcome back to Writing a Musical. We are currently streaming, just a little group of us. That's what it looks like, so they can't really tell that I'm streaming. Vlogging, I meant. Before I catch you up on kind of where we are in terms of draft 4, which will soon become draft 5 of this outline, I want to talk about lessons with John. Now, usually with John we meet on Thursdays, but this week and actually next week we'll be meeting on Fridays. It's just been a bit of a to get together, but let me read you the summary outline that he wrote, which I think kind of explains everything that he went over today. Here's kind of the whole thing, and I have to say it's the best 4360 I spend a week. Like, his feedback is so worth it. First things first is that I played Show Some Restraint. I I could be working more, truly could be practicing more. And at this point, he's very much like, you have to start thinking like a performer, act through the whole thing. And I have to play and talk the dialogue, like perform the dialogue and sing. So he says to kind of keep the energy through it all and just push forward and actually slow down to hear the words very well, because I am kind of them when I sing, because it's a lot at the same time. For next week, I have to continue working on that and also work on Alejandra's key change, and I have to start working on the third song as well, because like, what if they ask me? You never know. And have I heard back from BMI about the audition? The answer is straight up no still. Like, I have no idea if this is even gonna happen at this point. I left for a second and Procrastination Nation, aka me being caught vlogging, happened, so there's that update. Next, I read him Act 1 and Act 2, so we're already way better than we were last time. And I ended up getting some really important notes about like centering the scenes around songs. So for example, I originally had the opening number and the I Want song functioning at the same time, but really we're gonna separate them in between a little scene between Rosa and Alejandra. The conditional love song is more of a manipulation love song, because that's what conditional songs really are, with a prime example being I'll Know by Guys and Dolls, which is the plot function that I'm using. And also, I think we'll be cutting a song that I already wrote, aka Show Some Restraint. I think there's a better place for it. Maybe we'll be able to salvage it in Act 2, but the way that the new outline is saying, my original kind of pitch songs for the musical just aren't working as they should be, and they need to be either changed, updated, or cut, and that's where we are. So the goal for this stream, outside of working on my resume, because your girl's got to get some interpreter jobs, because yay for Spanish speaking, is to type up all these notes and start draft 5 of this outline. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to Writing a Musical. Now, usually I get vlog footage when I'm writing with people that isn't myself, because usually, you know, what I do is I sum up what I do during the day rather than film in the moment. If you would rather I do that, let me know. But in this case, I totally forgot to do that, because my friend Michael and I, whom I've known since I was in high school, like we've been best friends for like over a decade. We both do theater together, and I finally talked to him about my musical in full detail with the draft that I talked to you about, which was draft 4. And during the weekend, we worked on draft 5 and 6. We created 2 working drafts over the weekend for like over 10 hours. Like, we did this and this. Like, again, an insane amount of work. Like, I literally was just like 6 hours just on the 3rd of October. We went to dinner on the 2nd at my favorite sushi place, and that's kind of where I brought up my draft. And then we worked on it till like midnight. And then the only reason we took a break anyways, because we saw Diana. Here's some live footage of us reacting to it. Scorpio!
That's what rhymes with Scorpio.
Te quiero. Oh, wait. Who made this woman sing this? Scorpio.
It's not the first time.
I know, it's bad. And this is the very little video I got of him. He is not a video guy, but we do have some photos that I want to share with you. So my husband is very sweet and took these photos of us. Look how serious we look, just like working on this thing. And look at him being the most adorable person ever. I just love him to death. Like, if these aren't going to be in the future book of this musical, then what's the point, right? Okay, I know that's a little bit presumptuous, but you gotta dream big. What we really worked on together, which again is a lot, as you saw, like just the amount of pages, and it is kind of hard to sum up now because like it's been a couple of weeks since that. I'm recording this on the 18th, but I did this on the 1st and 2nd of October. It's been 2 weeks. Is that he really did a lot of great dramaturg work for me. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to Writing a Musical. So I totally forgot to make an intro for this video. I was supposed to attach it to the previous part of this vlog, but then it was too long. You know how TikTok works and the 3-minute limit. But I just wanted to make it really, really clear that everything we did and wrote and discovered and covered and just figured out with Michael for draft 5 and 6, which I obviously will go into detail after this, is what allowed this project to finally pivot into a place where right now I'm recording this intro on the 23rd of October, where I am legitimately still working from that framework that we created, even though we're officially on draft 9 of this outline and we have exactly 8 days left before NaNoWriMo. So it's crazy to think about that if Michael hadn't decided to spend the weekend with me and watch Diana, this wouldn't have happened. So here's a short list of everything we worked on. We fully mapped out the rest of Act 2, which is a great relief because it's kind of a mess still. We finally narrowed down Megan's position in the company in Big Coffee. She's actually a designer for marketing, and they're, working on the Hispanic Heritage Month proposal, and it's kind of the whole premise of that, just building up to the director position and that being her big goal in the company. And also, more importantly, we decided what the actual benefit to Café con Leche would be going forward from Big Coffee. All of that I had really not given thought to before, in the same sense that somebody with like real dramaturg experience would. And that kind of detail-oriented work is just absolutely wonderful and just what this project needed. So shout out to my best friend for getting me across the board, baby. I literally draft, it just wouldn't exist. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to Writing a Musical. And yes, I had to re-record this intro because it just doesn't work with what I have anymore, so hello from future me. It is still the 4th of October, but now it's 4 o'clock, and my stream crashed. Today is the day that everything crashes, but my Twitch streams have been crashing relatively often using Streamlabs, so I think I might be switching over to actually using the Twitch interface, but who knows. Anyway, this is as much as I got done of the outline. Literally that, and then obviously the comment. But as I was reading the first line of kind of what I have here that I worked with Michael, is I'm talking about the character design. Like, I haven't been with anyone for 6 years. She hasn't made any move romantically in a while. And that reminded me that I should probably spend some time doing character analysis. Now, when I was studying theater in undergrad, I actually did these all the time. They're very functional, great ways to like read through the script when you're playing one character, understanding the beats, the tactics, kind of the function of the character itself and the story and how they move the plot forward, which is exactly what I need. It's like essentially I'm reverse engineering what I would do as an actor and taking that and doing what I would do as a writer. So here I have a couple of character analysis ones. Shout out to the Cleveland Playhouse. They have a lot of stuff for like young drama club, just young high schoolers that I'm using. There's like the GOAT one, GOTE. There is the basic character questions, which are very detailed, but I really like. And I think that's something that Michael really stressed to me when we were working on stuff together, just being detail oriented and having an answer for all these questions, which then affect the way that you write the show, since you know what the characters would do. Am I going to use all this information in the show? No. But is that going to help me as a writer realize the kind of decisions they would make and therefore decide how and why I want to write songs? Yes. I think also filling these out will be really, really helpful to mine for the actual songwriting part of it, because not only will I have motivations and dreams and desires and past, but also just a clear understanding of how they work with everyone else in the show and what they think they look like. So I think I'm going to sit down and work on these character sheets the rest of the week after I type up draft 6, which I will present to John, and just create an understanding of all the characters from the smallest to the biggest. It's going to be a lot, but I'm excited. So today was a busy day. Hi, I'm Maiga and welcome back to another BMI practice vlog. As you can see, today we are still working on Alejandra, but we're working on that bridge angsty middle section where Megan is actually trying to convince Alejandra to run away with her, you know, like lovers do. I still consider this song to be the best one that I've written so far for the show, but that does not make it any easier to play, as you can see my hands here. So here's what I have left to work on after this practice session. First things first is don't get confused between keys and to make sure to keep the right quality for each chord in each key. So in this song, I have both F sharp minor, and then when I do the key change, I have an F sharp major. So I have to make sure to be really careful about keeping those chords straight because they're a completely different feel, they're in different keys, even if they are very close and similar. Next, I have to make the crescendo clearer in the angsty section to build up to that big reveal at the end of I've never felt this way before. And by really building the dynamics vocally and with the accompaniment, giving it that whack, while also then giving it that mute at the end, I think that'll really do what I wanted to do and hit emotionally. Also, I really have to work through the key change until it feels natural. There is still something so unnatural about the key change to me. I know I've talked about this before, but this song has sat in my trunk for 6 years before I decided to not only audition with it with John, but also change the entire content of it lyrically to fit into this new musical. But there is a downside to that. Like, yes, I have this song already and this melody that I really like, but also I have this melody that I really like with a chord accompaniment that I'm really familiar with, so it's hard to break out of the habit. I have played this at open mics before I decided to focus more on musical theater, so I've put in a lot of hours to practice on that, which means that it's very much in my bones, in my body. And trying to work through the years of it being in my body, working that out, and then inputting this new version into it is really messing me up. So I think what's really going to make it for me is almost like doubting my instinct, because my instinct is the previous version of this song. So by like thinking through it the whole way through and remembering the new version and putting that into my body is how I'm going to get that change. And last but not least, I think we're finally ready to start practicing the dialogue in these sections. There's a big dialogue section at the beginning where Megan and Alejandra are talking, which kind of sets off the song with Megan trying to convince her. But also after Megan confesses, there's this bit where Alejandra kind of sets off Megan to go into her angsty middle section of trying to convince her to stay. And for the first time, it's not block chords, it's actually a moving melody line. And so with that, see you next time with another BMI practice. Hi, I'm Maiga and welcome back to Writing a Musical Travel Edition. On this day, I took the surfliner from San Diego to the valley. I didn't get a window seat, but here's a bit of the ocean, because I was going to spend the weekend with my mom and, you know, spend time with her for her birthday. Now, I personally love to write on the train, so my goal for the train ride was to finish typing up the draft 5/6 and actually talk to my mom about it. There's my actual view of the window from that side, and this is what it looks like there. I realized while working on draft 5 and 6 with Michael that we didn't really spend a lot of time on Rosa, and I think it's because it's the character that we personally know the least. Like, none of us are parents or in our 50s. But I did decide that maybe the person to ask was someone who could help me with that, which was my mom. And yes, my mask fell off my nose, and during this video I just didn't notice it, so I'm sorry about that, but I am fully vaccinated, which if you scroll down, you probably already know. Now back to Rosa. I think the thing that eluded me the most about this character was her motivations. I really came with the idea to ask my mom, why do parents ask why they want kids? You know, I'm married and I really don't think I'm ready to have kids at the moment, but it's always something that like family members, especially older family members, want to know, like, when is the next generation of kids coming? And I always wondered why that was so important, since I know that that is actually a huge motivation for Rosa as to why she wants Alejandra to get married with a man and have children and feel loved and secured. So that was kind of a big thing for me when coming to ask my mom. Now here you get Maiga in her full effect in Spanish. When I'm at my mom's house, which this is, I go full goblin mode and my Chilean accent comes out very strong. And yes, I know the sweatpants are sitting way too high on my hips. I already know. So in that section, we were trying to figure out what kind of music I could write for my musical that would fit into this Christian denominational church that immigrants go to in the US. I think it's also pretty funny that my mom is very much making fun of me as I try to come up with musical phrases to use for this instance. Another thing my mom actually suggested is to include a new character, which we have named Javier. Now, my original idea for Alejandra to meet people was this quote-unquote singles night. Now, my mom reminded me that, well, Hispanic churches don't really believe in singles night. They have more of like week-long retreats where they can meet people. In my timeline, however, I didn't have time for a week-long retreat, so she suggested the next best thing, which is the mom being asked by somebody else to kind of set up a date with their daughter, which is very, very common. And with her knowledge of the church and just being a mother to two late 20-something-year-old twins, we figured this out. So thanks. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to another day in the life of a musical theater songwriter. Now, this is actually going to cover the weekend. I went over to see my mom on Friday the 8th and then came back on Sunday. And I did a couple of really awesome things. So the first thing is that I went with my mom to the Getty to celebrate her birthday. I didn't have the chance to see her for her birthday this year, so I wanted to make sure I went to go see her as soon as possible, and it was really, really inspiring. Mommy. I ended up getting, let me just walk over here, the irises. It's one of my favorite Van Gogh paintings, and I was just really, really inspired. I did have kind of a bad moment at the Getty, but I don't want to let that ruin kind of my experience there. But if you want to know more about it, I will, because it was low-key racist. Okay. Then on Sunday, I had a chance to meet with my mentor and my old high school theater teacher. He was the person who introduced me to theater in the first place. I have a lot to thank him for. And he actually introduced me to the Theater West, which is the oldest theater company in LA. And I actually spent a lot of my undergrad here. It's where I learned a lot of what I know now. And it's been a while since I'd been back, so I went to go see our man in Santiago, which, funny enough, I'm Chilean. This is set in Chile. I do have some thoughts about the original play. It is an original world premiere, because I do have some thoughts about it. At the end of the day, even with the best intentions, in this particular case, I will say you need to bring a Hispanic voice into it, especially a Chilean one if you're going to be telling a Chilean story. But besides the point, this weekend ended up being a great testament to myself of how far I've gotten. I actually saw some people I hadn't seen like in over 10 years, like literally from high school graduation, and I got to tell them what I was doing and that I got into BMI and stuff. People know now, and it's scary to have that over your head, almost like next time I see these people, they're going to ask me, so how did it go? This is one of the reasons why I haven't told very many people in my real life, but this weekend I felt more comfortable to do so, because even if I don't get it, I really feel like it was a big accomplishment to make it through this time, especially with this being the biggest class to have ever submitted to the BMI Musical Theater Workshop. And so anyway, with that was this weekend. It's definitely more of a telling you what happened rather than showing you, but I didn't really feel comfortable recording people that didn't want to be recorded, especially at the Armin in Santiago. But next time I go to Theater West, I will definitely make sure to make a whole vlog about it, because we have to keep theater alive, especially in the West Coast, especially in LA and San Diego, where we're not really like a theater community. We're definitely more film oriented, and I feel like that takes away from the possibilities of what we could do. And so with that, I will see you next time with a new vlog. Bye. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to another BMI practice vlog. Today's practice was really focused on arrangement. Now, there's that big transition from the A section, which is Natalie's section, going into kind of this ethereal, very soprano-y B section for Alejandra to let us know that her mom does not know that, well, she's queer. When I originally tried to play this, I did use block chords because that is pretty much the limit of my piano playing. But then John suggested that maybe I actually break up the chord and have the thumb play first, instead of just having the whole thing just whacking out like for Natalie's arrangement. You know, creating the difference between sections, which is something that I'm actively trying to work towards. Now, as you can see here, I am practicing very slowly, trying to figure out where my fingers lie, what is the arrangement from one chord to the next, so that the movement from my hands is very easy and simple and less strenuous. For those of you who are piano players, I know that my form isn't particularly great. My wrists are all kind of fucked up when I play, but I would like to say that I am a self-taught piano player. So you do what you can with what you got. Anyway, so as I was figuring out the way that I wanted the chords to lay, I actually started notating them into my score. So what I have on my score right now is just a triad, no inversions. But clearly here you can see I'm trying to figure out inversions that will make things easier. So I'm starting to notate those in the score so I can reference them when I'm playing. I have to be honest and say that this kind of arrangement thing is sort of tedious for me since I don't really have a lot of experience, and I feel like after a while it just sounds bad. It sounds hollow and it makes me feel very insecure about why I'm even doing this in the first place. As you can see, I was checking the time because I just wanted this to end. I usually take about a 3-minute video to remember the practice session, even though practice sessions can run from about 30 to 45 minutes. But here I was already embarrassed that you could see me struggling so much. And I think this is one of the main reasons why I do this, because in the future, when I look back and see this, I will know exactly how far I've gotten in terms of playing and arranging and just performing my own work. Now, I have to say, I wish I turned the camera so you could see the iPad because it is super, super helpful. And especially if you're like me, as a person who doesn't print anything out until we're about to perform it. I just make notes and delete notes and, instead of having all a jumbled score, which is what I used to do in undergrad and highly regret. Now, I have to say that I know that these practice vlogs aren't particularly exciting. It feels sometimes like you're watching paint dry, which is fine because that's what practice sometimes is. As musicians, we always share the finished product, the perfection, and not the actual time that goes into making that happen. And so with those thoughts, I'll see you next time with another BMI practice vlog. Alejandra, what's going on? Is everything okay? I'm fine. Everything's fine. Are you sure? Because I stop and look at yourself right now. You look ready to faint. No breaking down in morning rush because you got a message from your crush. Show some restraint. Regulars are starting to raise a brow, and you Karen-handed a complaint. Making coffee's what we do, not an exhibition at the zoo. Show some restraint. Oh, never, how should I answer? Got so hard. Oh, never, how should I answer? She comes up. Control your life. Somehow your mom makes you live like a saint. Yes, you like the stage, but it's time to tell her you're not straight. You're half owner of this place. You can't go away. We're paycheck to paycheck, more debts to pay. If we can't make them copy, well, why should they stay? So is it any wonder we're so close to going under? Better not faint. Show some restraint. Only a minute. Oh, God. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to another BMI practice vlog. Today, I decided to spend some time working on Alejandra. Per my last BMI practice vlog, I'm getting to the point with Show Some Restraint where I'm doing both the dialogue and the singing and the accompaniment at the same time. It isn't pretty, but it's there. Now, Alejandra is very close, but I do need to work on the dialogue, which is the section I have not added yet. So this vlog is really about just practicing where those lines are going to fit into the musical score and how I'm going to actually play a moving line while talking. Show Some Restraint is easier in some ways because even though the chord changes a lot, it's still very similar shape and it's a block chord. Whereas this has a moving right hand that is playing its own melody while Alejandra and Megan are talking over it, especially at the intro, and then again in the middle section right before the angsty section where Alejandra has her whole big thing and then she's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. Now, as you can hear as I'm talking myself through it, it is not the prettiest. It actually does not sound good. Now, something to note that I really haven't talked about in the BMI practice vlogs is that I have actually changed the story of the musical that I am writing. which means that the songs that I wrote for BMI, which were more pitch style songs, because I hadn't yet figured out the exact story I wanted to tell, and they served to show BMI kind of the work that I could do rather than pitch the actual show, which is not what BMI is for. But yeah, the story changed, which means the dialogue I wrote, even the lyrics I wrote, some of them are not even usable at all. Now, unfortunately, this is very, very obvious in the dialogue for Alejandra. The whole intro section talks about how Megan was gonna invite Alejandra for Thanksgiving, even though now I know that it's really gonna focus on Hispanic Heritage Month, which is around September, and they actually have their whole meeting in August, or even earlier than that. It could be even April. And in the story currently, as of October 25th, when I'm recording this voiceover, Megan isn't a regular at the coffee shop, and therefore she wouldn't ask her for Thanksgiving, and so the whole thing just falls apart. And this is something I've asked John. Should I keep it the same so that they recognize the dialogue at the audition? Or should I change only the dialogue to let them know that I'm still actively working on this project? And so with that, see you next time with a new vlog. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to Writing a Musical. It is currently the 13th of October, 4:46 p.m. And the stream just ended, but we rated someone, so I couldn't just leave it up on screen. So anyway, let me talk to you about what we did today. We've officially started draft 8 of this outline. This is a combination of both draft 5 and 6, which I wrote with Michael, and then draft 7, which I wrote with my mom. Now, if you'd like more information about any of those drafts, you can go back into my vlogs. They're all there. But what makes draft 8 really important in my book is that it's a combination of everything that Michael and I worked out in terms of what Rosa and Alejandra's big beats are, and then also what me and my mom worked together when we mapped out Rosa's entire storyline, and putting those three together to create one big amalgamation of drafts. As I've talked about, I'm pretty sure that I'm just gonna keep working this particular set of events over and over and over until I come up with a combination of scenes and songs that actually work best for the musical. So I'm glad to know that at least the more discovery aspect of it is over, and now we're just sharpening and trying to get as close to the perfect scene order as we can. But that also means that everything is way more detailed and that I have to make exact decisions about a lot of scenes and songs and what is going to be a scene, what is going to be a song. And as someone who doesn't have a lot of experience as a book writer, this is actually where I'm really struggling. So let me show you what I have here as reference and what I did, because it's pretty messy. So actually, if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I really need your help. So per usual, I have the guys and dolls kind of framework of the plot, which has been really, really helpful. Except for I know I have 3 plots. Plot A, which is the coffee shop. Plot B, which is Megan's own thing. And plot C, which is Rosa's kind of love thing. All of those intertwined together, but it's 3 plots instead of 2. So anyway, I tried mapping it out like this, and it left no effect because it made no sense. I'm trying to tie them all together, but it makes no fucking sense. So now I'm on Cardbeat again, and I am mapping that out here with way more detail and putting the scenes in the order that I think they're going to be at. And also kind of mapping the beats out with who I think is going to lead either the song or the scene, whether Alejandra or Rosa or Megan and Cartwright, which are the actual pairs of this. Cartwright, or who I'm actually going to change to Cassini or another Italian name, is very much the antagonist to Megan, whereas Rosa is also Alejandra's antagonist, and it's all going to be... It's the couples, but the couples, But anyway, this vlog is chaotic as fuck, and it's all because I'm brain dead from working on this for 2 hours and still being nowhere closer. Hi, I'm Maiga, and welcome back to Writing a Musical. It is Thursday at 1:25 p.m., which means lessons with John. It literally just ended. I have lots of notes about both my playing and the play, and I want to record them and set them in stone here before I forget, because I do have a stream in about 30 minutes. Food is on the way. It's a Chipotle day today. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it real quick. So first and foremost, yes, this is my high school sweatshirt from my theater club. I've decided that things that I don't wear, I'm going to give up, and I just couldn't see myself giving this up. So yay, we're being in high school for a decade. Yeah. I pick the most flattering poses. Anyway, so if you can hear that smacking, it's the boy. Now, regardless of having like a major like scheduling issue because of the fact that we are in separate time zones and it's hard to figure out the math, the lesson went really, really well. I've presented Show Some Restraint and Alejandra, and I really do think they're closer. I will be going over the exact notes I got in my BMI practice vlog, which will be posted after this. But just in short, commitment and urgency. Big thing still. Now let's jump to the musical notes. This is what I've worked on this morning, just taking the outline that I typed up on yesterday's stream and putting it fully into Heartbeat, and this is how far I've gotten, and this is what I end up presenting to John to get some feedback. As I think this is going to be kind of the final version we are going to be fiddling with, as I've talked about. I've decided that regardless of optics, I think Alejandra's want is to be in love, and I'm just going to lean into kind of the rom-com feel. I do feel like as like people of color, we really shy away from telling love stories because we think it's cliche or because we think, oh, well, that's been written before. And you know what? At this point, I don't care. I want Alejandra to be in love and I want her to come into her own. And I think that will happen through accepting her sexuality and falling in love with someone. So who cares? Fuck y'all who don't want love stories for people of color, because I'm gonna write them fucking anyway. Yeah. So suck that. I actually don't think people feel that strongly, but I have seen that commented before. And you know what? I just want to write my happy shit. Leave me alone. Okay, enough of that. I really think that John nailed it on the head, that I have to figure out what is Alejandra's arc. And I think it boils down to, I don't want to let people down. And then the flip side of that being, of course, that she learns that by not letting people down, she is at risk of abandoning her true self. So that's the arc that we have to work on, the courage to be her true self, which will happen through love. And last but not least, we found the connecting scene, which is going to be Megan turning down Alejandra for the first time and then her picking her up. I'll talk more about it in the next vlog, but see you then. Hi, I'm Maiga and welcome back to another BMI practice vlog. As promised, here are the notes I got from John after playing both Show Some Restraint and Alejandra. For this meeting with him, I played the songs the whole way through as if I were performing them live at the audition to get into the headspace to do that. And these are the notes he gave me. In the background, just for you to know, I am playing Alejandra, but I am going to give notes for Show Some Restraint as well. So let's start with Show Some Restraint. He was very adamant that I play it for someone in person, everyone I can. There's a difference to recording vlogs and even playing them live on Twitch because there's a level of separation, but the anxiety and like the real life feel of having someone in the room with you is exactly what I need to kind of get the edge off and figure out how it lands in real life. This also applies for Alejandra, but again, as I've performed that in more open mic settings, it's easier, but Show Some Restraint really needs some like performance time. Also for Show Some Restraint, I need to keep up the tempo, keep it steady. The beginning tempo I started with was quite good, but unfortunately, as my nerves picked up, I started to rush. And because I was rushing, it meant that I wasn't landing as many of the jokes, and of course, that my words weren't being heard that well. Saying the last bit was a bit of a tongue twister for me, I have to be honest. I have been pretty good about practicing with metronome and finding the optimal kind of tempo for each song. So I think, again, practicing in front of people will help with this. And lastly, put Natalie in chest voice. She's supposed to be brassy, and I'm giving more mixed belt. And that's generous on my part. It's been about a decade since I've taken vocal lessons at the musical theater level, so my voice definitely isn't what it used to be in terms of training and like range. I'm thinking that if I do get this gig in New York and get to join BMI, I will 100% be taking voice lessons again just to get back into what I had. And then we have some notes for Alejandra, which are less, but still very important. The most important thing that I'm struggling with right now for Alejandra is urgency. This is Megan's pleading song. This is a breaking point for Megan of her wanting to leave with Alejandra, and right now I'm playing it too much of a ballad. I think it will really help to practice with the dialogue, as I think the dialogue sets up the urgency pretty well, and I just have to act my way through it. Again, not what I used to be because it's been a long time since I've been in an acting workshop, but I have to practice that too. And then for a more technical note, I have to focus on the vocal melodic line in the angsty section. Again, writing it versus singing it. Is what I'm singing actually what I wrote? right now my voice is a little iffy on that. And with that, see you next time with another